Hi, my dear learners, particularly of John Keats. As I told you in my previous video, that I'm just going to start a series on the poems of John Keats. So, in this very particular series, in this video, I'm just going to explain it to you, line by line, explanation of John Keats's another very important and very famous poem, that is Ode on a Grecian Urn. Ode on a Grecian Urn is one of the most important and famous odes, those five odes, particularly those famous five odes that John Keats wrote or composed in the year 1819. Let's first look all about the important things of this poem before heading straightway into the explanation, line by line explanation of this poem. First, I will give you some important information that could be very, very important, particularly for the competition point of view. So the first thing I would like to tell you is that this poem was written by John Keats in 1819. In 1819, the poem was written, and in 1820, probably, the poem was published. The poem was published in 1820, and it is said that John Keats got the inspiration for writing this poem from Elgin marbles. Elgin marbles, particularly, was a kind of a collection related to the just art and architecture, particularly from Greece. So probably it is said that John Keats had seen a kind of a urn there. He had seen a kind of a urn there, and that urn somehow had inspired John Keats to write this poem. It is also said that this poem was just written because John Keats had got the inspiration particularly from Benjamin Haddon's article. Benjamin Haddon had written an article, and probably that article was something about a certain urn. It was all about the urn related to Greece. So particularly these two sources, first source I told you, Elgin marbles, and the second source of the poem was just Benjamin Haddon's article. These were probably the two important sources which helped John Keats to write this one of the most beautiful odes ever written in English language. And before heading into this poem, I would also like to give you some very important information, like this ode is written in 5 stanzas, 10 lines each. This ode runs into 5 stanzas. Each stanza has 10 lines each. The lines of almost all the just stanzas are actually in iambic pentameter. Second very important information, particularly from the competition point of view, is that in this very particular poem, the poet has made use of ekphrasis. Ekphrasis is a kind of a technique. If a poem is all about the representation of a painting or a sculpture, it is called ekphrasis. 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 Why? Because it's all about the sculpture, all about the painting, all about those images and figures carved out on the outer part of this urn. Urn, you all know that urn is a kind of a picture-like thing. Urn is a kind of something that was used by the Greeks particularly to preserve the mortal remains of their deads. See, in this poem, lots of images are mentioned. Why? Because there are lots of images carved out on this marble urn. But John Keats particularly just speaks about certain important just images. So see, these were the basic details of this basic details relating to this poem that could help you have a better understanding of this poem. Now let us begin the line by line explanation of this poem. And before starting, I would like to make a personal appeal to all of you, my dear learners, to have patience. Why? Because this video is going to be long. Why? Because I'm going to give you line by line just explanation with all the important references relating to the poem. So let's begin the poem. Thou still unravished bride of quietness. Thou means the urn. The poet calls the urn unravished, still unravished bride of quietness. The poet addresses the urn straightway. So in the previous video I told you that if we address a dead or the absent or the abstract or even living one, it is called apostrophe figure of speech. So in the first line of the poem, the first figure of speech that we have, that is apostrophe. Why? Because the poet has a straightway address to the urn. But apart from apostrophe, this first line of the poem is also very paradoxical. Paradoxical in the sense that the poet says, thou still unravished bride of quietness. Bride, he has compared this urn to a bride. And if this kind of a comparison is made, I told you, if two dissimilar objects are compared, metaphor, metaphor. But he says that thou art still unravished bride of quietness. Unravished in the sense untouched. How can a bride be untouched? Being a bride cannot be untouched, and the poet says that unravished. So if it is if just the poet calls the urn the bride, how can the bride be untouched? So here the paradoxical statement, very difficult to digest this kind of a statement of the poet, that the poet on one hand calls the urn bride, on the other hand, what kind of a bride is it? Unravished. So that is paradoxical. So in the first line of the poem we can say that apostrophe is used, then paradox is there, then since the bride is straightway compared to, the urn is straightway compared to the bride, or to a bride, metaphor is also. So see, in the first line of the poem we have metaphor, we have paradox, we have apostrophe. Now see the next line of the poem. Thou foster child of silence and slow time. Now the poet says that you are the child. Now he calls the urn the child. Foster child, it means not the biological child. Foster parents or foster father or mother is that father or mother who adopts a child and just brings up that child. That child is not the biological child of that single parent or parents. So here he says, here he calls the urn the foster child of silence and slow time. Silence and slow time. Why does he call silence and slow time? What does the poet mean? Slow time. See the impact of the time. The impact of the time is not so much visible on this urn. Why? Because this urn stands for immortality, permanency, eternal. This urn is eternal. It has been in existence for years. That's why he says slow time. The ravage of the time is very slow, almost you can say nil, almost nil on this urn. And that's why here again this urn is called the child of, foster child of just silence and slow time. So again urn is compared to a child, to a foster child of just silence and slow time. So again in this line metaphor is used. So second line of the poem also has metaphor. The first line also has metaphor, second line also has metaphor. Now see the third line of the poem. Sylvan historian. Now the poet in the third line calls the urn historian. Why? Because this just urn is in existence for a very long time. So this urn has seen a lot and has contained in it a lot. Lots of things this urn knows about. This urn knows all about this evolution of man and so many other things. Why? Because this just urn is in existence for a long time. Sylvan related to wood or related to jungle or pastoral. So since lots of things that are carved out on the urn are related to the jungle or related to the nature, that's why the poet or the speaker of the poem calls it Sylvan historian. Why? Because Because this urn has contained in it lots of things, and lots of things. See the next line of the poem. Who canst here, the just archaic word, or that old English word used particularly for can in the medieval time, thus express a flowery tale more sweetly than our rhyme. So he says this urn is capable of producing, capable of creating, capable of singing such a beautiful kind of a poem that human can never compose or create. So here the poet shows the supremacy of this urn, the art, how art is greater, in comparison with human. Human on one hand is mortal, on the other hand art is immortal. So we can see a kind of a tug of war throughout the poem between these two things, mortal and immortal. On one hand we are mortal, on the other hand the art is immortal. This urn is immortal. Why? Because the urn is the true representative of an art. Let's see the next line of the poem. What leaf fringed legend horns about thy shape? So here the speaker of the poem can see lots of things carved out on the earth. Lots of just leaves like things just carved on, and to some extent the poet is unable to understand, or unable to somehow to just unable to explain. He says, what leaf fringed legend means a story. Horns here stands for carved, or just dwells about thy shape. This urn talks about. He says that so many things, so many figures, so many images are carved out on this urn. He questions, not for getting answers. So if we put a kind of a question, not for getting answer, only for creating a kind of a dramatic situation, that is called eroticis. Just I would like to spell you the word eroticis. Erotesis. Eroticis is a kind of a figure of a speech, when a rhetorical kind of a question, or rhetoric, is also known by the other name, that is eroticis. So here the question is being put forward, but not for getting answer. This is eroticis. So eroticis, figure of speech, is used here in this line, and another anaphora is also used. Why? Because see how many lines begin with the word what, like what fringed legend horns about thy shape, of deities or mortals, or of both, in temp or the dales of Arcady. What men or gods are these? What maidens loth? What mad pursuit? What struggle to escape? What pipes and timbrels? What wild ecstasies? You see, question after question, one sentence or clause of the poem begins with what after the other. So, anaphora. I told you also in the previous video that if one line after the other line of a poem begins just with a certain phrase or a certain word, This is anaphora. So, it's a very good example of anaphora here we find in this poem, that he puts one question after the other without seeking answer. He does not want the answer. This is anaphora. Sorry, anaphora, just I told you this, that it has begun with this again and again, this one line, then another line, then the other line begins with what word? This is anaphora. Eroticis is a kind of a figure of speech when we question but not expecting the answer. This is eroticis or rhetorical question. Anaphora, when a certain line, one line, two line, three line, begins with the same word or phrase. Anaphora. So see again and again what and what. Now he says, let's explain the poem. What Lee French legend, I told you story, Hans I told you dwells, or here it means carved out on this you see this urn, about thy shape of deities or mortals or of both. So he actually is unable to understand, or unable to recognize those figures carved out on the urn. He's in a kind of a confusion whether those human-like figures carved out on the urn are of the deities, gods or goddesses, or the mortals. Mortal means humans. He's unable to understand. Or of both, or these images are of gods, goddesses, and men and women. For a moment he thinks that maybe some images are of deities and some images are of mortals, human beings, earthly beings. Why? Because again I am telling you, in this poem the poet is paralleling two worlds side by side. One, the world of the mortals, and on the other hand the world of the immortals. Side by side the poet is paralleling these two worlds, two different worlds. See the next line of the poem. In Tem or the Dales of Arcady, these are the names here. Tem and the Dales of Arcady, two beautiful places rich in natural beauty from the Greece, have found reference in this line or in this poem. And if we refer certain thing from certain place or certain source, that is called allusion. ALLUSION. So allusion is used in this line also. This is another figure of speech. So he says, what men or gods are these? So who are these men or who are these gods? What maidens loath, and he can see some female images or images of the some women or images of the some just maidens. And they are to some extent, they are somehow unable to express themselves in a free flow manner. It seems as if they are just a little bit shy. They are shy. Loath word here means shy. What mad pursue it. He also sees a kind of a struggle. He sees some kind of a struggle. Probably the women just carved, or the girls carved out on the just urn are in a kind of a posture of running, as if they are running, and it seems as if some men are giving a chase to them. So that's why he says, what mad pursue it? What kind of this pursue it? What kind of this hustle and bustle? See, what struggle to escape? So why to escape? Means probably these girls or the women carved out on the urns are trying to escape, trying to run, and whereas these men are trying to chase. What pipes and timbrels, what wild ecstasy. See what a beautiful, just a beautiful pictorial quality the poem has. You see this, he can see the pipes, he can see the timbrels, these are beautiful musical instruments being played there in this beautiful immortal world of the urn. The life of the human on this planet is absolutely different in comparison with the world or the life just carved out on the earth. What wild ecstasy, extreme joy. So see how beautiful, how happy this world of the earth is in comparison with the just a human world on this earth. Next. So this is the first line, first stanza of the poem. Now see the second stanza of the poem, and will rush a little bit fast, particularly to just wrap this poem soon as possible. And right in the beginning, I told you to have patience, to be patient. And again, I will make a request to you to be patient. Why? Because this video is going to be long. Let's see the next one. Heard melodies are sweet, but those unheard are sweeter. Therefore, Aesop pipes play on, not to the sensual ear, but more endeared pipe to the spirit deities mean song or of no tone. So here he said this line is often quoted and often asked in the examination. Let's see this. Heard melodies are sweet. So those melodies that we hear are sweet, but those unheard melodies are, he says, sweeter. How is it possible? How practically it is possible? It is absolutely not possible at all. If we have not heard some music, how we can say that those unheard music or those unheard songs are sweeter if we have not heard? So again, this line, the first line of the second stanza, is paradoxical, antithetical. So heard melodies are sweet, but those unheard are sweeter. So here we have paradox in this line, antithesis in this line, and this is also a kind of a epigrammatic style is also used. And so see again, this line has three figure of speeches. We can say that. Now it depends on the options we get in the examination. On the basis of the option in the examination, we'll have to go with the one option in the examination. But here we have three just figures of speech used in this line of the just poem. So therefore he says. Now again he talks about that music of that imagined world or imaginary world that is carved out on the urn. That music, the music, though he cannot hear it, but he can imagine that music of the world of the urn must be sweeter in comparison of that music he hears on this earth in the human world. Not to the sensual ear, but more endeared pipe to the spirit deities of no tone. So he says that no doubt at all, we cannot hear that music of that imaginary immortal world of the urn, but we can imagine it, we can feel it, our soul can feel it, and that's why that music is sweeter one. Why? Because that music is permanent. Why? Because nothing in this human world is permanent. Everything is temporary and short-lived. And that's why he says, pipe to the spirit deities of no tone. Deities means song of no tone. So how can a song have? How can a song have no tone? Again, this paradoxical statement. Again, paradox is here. Fair youth beneath the trees, thou cannot leave thy song, nor ever can those trees be bare, bold lover, never, never canst thou kiss, thou winning near the goal yet. Do not grieve, she cannot fade, though thou hast not thy bliss, forever wilt thou love, and she be fair. So here he shifts his attention to an image of a young man. This young man is a fair youth, is a young, good-looking, just a man beneath the trees. This young man is just frozen on the outer surface of the urn for eternity. This figure of this young man is depicted on the urn under the trees. See, beneath the trees, thou canst not leave thy song. He says that you will never stop singing. Why? Because you are frozen. You are frozen on the surface of the urn. Thou cannot leave thy song, nor ever can those trees be bare. And he says, and the trees of the world of the urn will never shed their leaves. They will never be bald. They will remain green. They will always have leaves on their branches. This is the power. This is the power of the art. This why? Because the art is immortal and this human earth is this mortal. See. Now he talks about the bold lover, never, never canst thou kiss. He says, oh, you bold lover, you will never ever be able to kiss your beloved. But you don't need to bother. You don't need to be sorry. You don't need to be sad. Why? Because you cannot kiss her. Why? Because you have another gift on your way. That is, your beloved will remain young and beautiful, and your love for her will always be in your own heart. Your heart will always be producing love, particularly for your beloved. So you don't need to be sad and don't need to lose your heart that you would not be able to kiss her. Why? Because you have a reason to be happy and reason to be glad. Why? Because you will remain young. Your love will remain young. Your beloved will remain young. See the next line of the poem. Happy, happy bough, third stanza of the poem, that cannot shed your leaves nor ever bid the spring adieu. So he says, see, oh happy, happy boughs. See the beautiful lines. See the beautiful world of the urn. So he says that those trees and their branches just carved out on the urn will always be happy. Why? Because they will remain green. They will never lose their leaves. That can never shed your leaves nor ever bid the spring adieu, and you will enjoy the permanent spring in your life. He says that the spring will never come to an end in the world of the earth. Why? Because all these things are frozen forever there on the earth. And happy, melodious, unwearied, forever piping songs forever new. And he says that the music of the world of the urn, like the piper that is carved out on the urn will go on playing the pipe, so the music will never stop and the music will always be flowing and flowing. More happy love, more happy love. And see that the lovers just carved out on, they will remain fresh. They will have love for each other forever. Their love will never come to an end. Generally, it happens in the human life that one man fails to continue the fire of love for the other. Because of this or because of that, one loses the love and emotion for the other. But the lovers of the world of the urn will never suffer this kind of thing, and they will love forever. Why? Because later on he says, see this line, forever warm and still to be enjoyed, forever panting and forever young. So he says that the love of the lovers of the world of the urn will never adjust. They will all the time be passionate. The lovers will remain passionate for each other and remain full of love for each other. All breathing human passion far above. And he says that the love of this world of the urn is beyond the imagination or beyond the love that we find on this earth in this human world that is ephemeral, that does not last long. Maybe just John Keats had here just tries to give a hint of his own love, particularly for Fanny Brown. See this. Human passion far above that leaves a heart high, sorrowful and cloyed, sickened, a burning forehead and a parching tongue. So see, he talks about that measurable physical condition of the humans, those people in love on this planet that is Earth, that generally people on this planet in love are not happy at all. They have to suffer lots of rejections. They have to suffer lots of problems. But the lovers painted or carved out or depicted in the world of the urn or on the earth will remain young, remain full of love for each other, and they will never have a lack of love for each other. Why? Because their hearts will generate love for each other forever. But it does not happen, unfortunately, in the world of the humans. See the next line of the poem, next stanza of the poem. The video is getting longer and longer. See. Who are those coming to the sacrifice? To what green altar, O mysterious priest, leadest thou that high fear, lowing at the skies and all her silken flanks with garland dressed? And now here the attention of the poet is shifted to the other image or to the other figures, and this is all about a kind of a procession, all about a kind of a people. Those people are from a certain place, maybe their house, they are from a hilltop or from a valley or from a place located on the side of the river bank or on the seashore. They have a heifer, a young cow with them. Just that cow is being led to certain place of altar where this cow will be sacrificed. See this. But the poet does not know who this priest is, the person who is leading the cow, young cow, and these people. And that's why again rhetorical question, eroticist, not for seeking answer, but only and only for just exciting the curiosity of the readers. Let's see this. What little town by the river or the seashore? So he says that these people who are leading a young cow in the company of a priest, definitely they may have their village at the riverside or the seaside or on the hilltop or in a valley. And that place, their village, their place will definitely be emptied. Why? Because they have all come out, and it will remain empty. Why? Because it is all fixed and frozen on the outer side of the urn. See this empty and little town, thy streets forevermore be silent be, and not a soul to tell why thou art desolate can ever return. So I already explained it to you that the place they belong to, they have left it. Why? Because they are leading a highway to a place of sacrifice. Since they are frozen, since they are fixed, since they are etched, since they are carved out on the urn, they will remain there. They won't be able to move back to their place. So their place, their dwelling place will remain be empty. Let's see the final stanza of the poem. O Attic, Athenian shape stands for the urn. Fair attitude, a beautiful balanced urn with bread embroidered. Lots of things are just embroidered or etched out or just carved out on the surface of it, of marble men. So these are the men just carved out on this marble urn. Maidens, young unmarried women, overwrought, misdecorated. So this outer part of the just marble urn is decorated with lots of beautiful things, with men and women, with the images of the men and women, with forest branches and trodden weed in the forest. The beautiful picture of the forest is carved out with lots of weeds which are seen trampled under the feet. All these things are carved out on the marble, thou silent form. So he says that urn is a kind of a silent piece. Why? Because it is lifeless. It does not have its own life, and that's why it is cold also. You see the silent form. Dost tease out of thought a dost, as doth eternity cold pastoral. So he says somehow this peace, this tranquility, this immortality of the world of the urn and the urn itself somehow hurt, somehow tease, somehow tantalize the humans, that humans fail to get what the just creatures or what the people of the world of the immortals means this urn have. See how happy they are. But unfortunately, we people on this planet are not happy at all. Let's see the next line of the poem. When old age shall this generation treat as waste. So he says that we people one day become old and the old age finishes. The old age kills us. The old age kills us. And one generation goes and the another generation comes. Thou shalt remain in midst of other woe, he says. So on one hand, when one generation of the human will go and the other will come, you will remain as you are today and will be entertaining and will be relating your immortal tales to the coming generation of the human, one after the other. Then are friends of friend to man to whom thou sayest beauty is truth, truth beauty. One of the most beautiful lines of the poem, beauty is truth, truth is beauty. Very good example of chiasmus. Same phrase is reversed. Beauty is truth, truth is beauty. So here he concludes the poem with these two most beautiful lines, that is, beauty is truth, truth is beauty. This is all and nothing more than this. So this world, so entire world, He says, all the world, there is only one thing in this world, that is beauty, and beauty is truth. And what is truth is beauty, and nothing more this, and nothing more beyond this. This is all. Ye know on earth, you know on earth, he says to the, probably here the urn speaks. Urn tries to speak to the humans that you, human, you only need to know one thing. Beauty is truth, truth is beauty. And we need to know this. And we don't need to know more than this. So, with this, I will stop, and I hope this explanation of mine will help you understand this beautiful poem of John Keats. My dear learners, I will give you thanks to be patient, to watch my video and hear me patiently. Once again, I will say my thanks to you, my dear learners, and I will here go with this promise that very soon I'll see you in the next video. Thank you once again for watching my video, my dear learners.